Oh, hold on.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Oh, you look lovely.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I just want to that piano's amazing.
I know. It's like, yeah, this is my office.
This is great.
Yeah, this is my office.
Nice to officially meet you.
Yes, it's very nice. I've heard so many wonderful things about you, and it's, from my mother and Kat, and it's finally nice to actually meet you face to face.
I know. I mean, I've known them for years now, and I've always heard about you and how wonderful you are.
Oh,
And
that's so nice.
yeah.
Intensifies the loneliness. They disintegrate.
You know, every time I do this,
I know. Exactly.
I always get excited, which is good. It's sort of like right before you go on stage, you go,
Oh God, yes. Well, yes. They say nerves is good,
Yeah.
they always say, but you have to, it's different. As a musician and an actor, it's they're all connected, but it's kind of different too, to be nervous in each one of those areas.
Why-
It requires different skills.
How are the nerves different from you as an actress versus a singer?
Well, as a pianist, you mean? As a
Right.
pianist, yes. Well, I mean, I think that as an actor, they both involve the unconscious, but I feel like as an actor,
Yeah.
you can really use your nerves. You can both use your nerves in both, but as an actor, the whole thing is to completely embody the role. You do all your homework, and then you just trust it, and you're like living, you're in it. You're becoming, the character. There's a lot of unconscious things you can just let flow. And I feel like there is a lot of unconscious things in music, but it does require a little step back, because it involves all the little fine muscle groups.
Right.
And there's a lot of brain involved as well as a pianist. So they're always related, but they're a little bit different in how I approach, a performance.
Right.
So
I love that. I love when we could just start, going like that. And I want to be sure that we get stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to do a little intro, and
Okay.
we always edit and put stuff here and there and wherever.
Okay. Great.
Pin. No. Okay. Now I'm here. Speaker. Hollywood royalty.
Oh.
I love that. She says, "Oh," but I mean, that's where it comes from, right? Your family is like Hollywood royalty.
I guess so. I don't feel that way, but no, I'll I know, but I don't feel that like I'm Hollywood royalty.
I love this. Well, that voice is Jennifer Kramer. Jennifer Kramer. Hi.
Hi there.
I love that this is like officially the first time we're like meeting.
I know, exactly. Although I feel kind of like I know you anyway, but
same here.
Yes, officially, like to really see you and like talk to you, not through somebody else,
Right. It's like, that's
Yeah,
what that
exactly.
person does. I brought up Hollywood royalty, and you are an actress and a musician, and you come from a family that is, quote,
Yeah.
well known, and
Yeah.
and of course your dad. Now you said you don't feel like it, but what is your definition of family?
Well, I think family is a group of people. It could be related through blood, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And I think it's people that really love you unconditionally, that are really honest with you about everything, that you can fall back on in hard times, and that can work together as a whole for the betterment of the entire family. And so I think that's my definition of family. Yeah.
I love that. And I love how you said it doesn't have to be blood family.
I don't know. I don't think so. There's a lot of extended friends that have known my family for a very long time. My actual family related by blood is so small, and it's just my sister, my mother, and then I do have a half sister. I don't like to call her half sister, but another daughter of my father's from another marriage.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're not really in contact. And then I had a brother, he passed away.
Oh,
and so, my immediate family is so small. So, you start to think, okay, well, I'm not married. I'm not, my life is not taking me down that road. So I keep thinking, well, after, when something happens, we never want to think of those things, but when my blood family moves on, who will I have? I have a lot of extended, that's really a question. And who can I trust? Because I think if you call yourself family, film royalty or whatever,
right.
All that sounds like such a romanticized great thing, but I think with that comes some unintended, some hardships in a kind of a strange way.
Yeah.
And I think that mostly only people think about what they imagine, what they fantasize in a very fairy tale like way. But there's also, a lot of people that come along that, maybe aren't there in your life for the right reason.
Yeah.
It's happened to me many times. So it becomes hard to find out who really loves you for you, who you can really trust and things like that, which I think a lot of people don't know about, so, but I do have those few extended friends that I consider, like an extended kind of family that have been there for a long time. So I feel very lucky that I have that, since my blood family is really small.
Right. Well, it seems like, I'm listening to you and you seem so, first of all, I was thinking, are you an Aquarius?
Yes, I am an Aquarius.
Oh my God.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
No, because I'm an Aquarius and
you're kidding. Oh my.
When's your birthday?
January 24th.
Ah! Mine's January 23rd.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Well, hello, fellow Aquarius.
Hello. You were saying stuff and I was like, I've said that in my own head, and sometimes, especially about the extended blood family and the family moves on and this and that. And I thought, who's going to be my family? Because I'm single at the moment too.
Exactly.
And I love that.
I love that. Yeah.
See, sometimes I'm on with that, and sometimes
you really are. I thought you knew. So I thought somehow somebody had told you that I was an Aquarius, and then it was.
No, I was just like, let's see. It doesn't always work, but
yeah, exactly.
But well, you are, beside having this amazing family, you are an auteur filmmaker. I read that. What is the definition of auteur for those who don't know?
Well, it's something that got attached to me through some people that I've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what the definition of auteur is, that as a filmmaker, I kind of wear a lot of hats. And I think it means that a filmmaker has their certain stamp, their certain style kind of stamped onto something. I guess, like, for me, I like things that are dark, kind of, and I like things that are kind of weird and kind of surreal. I like things very outside the box. I like to see something new.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an Aquarius thing. I don't know. So I guess that those were like elements that I think, you know, I think my film has sort of, it's very, it's like a new way of storytelling, and it is very surreal.
Right. And that's
kind of weird.
Nakusa.
Nakusa.
Yeah. Which is I saw bits of it and just stunning.
Oh, thank you.
mean, and can you hear that?
No.
Good.
Okay.
Because they're of course the gardener just came.
Okay.
So I just wanted to check. But Nakusa, and what I was getting to here before the gardener took me away was it's gonna come. It's my 57-year-old brain.
No
25. That's it. Weird and a little bit dark. Where did that come from with you?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. For my first group of films, which are all musical shorts, they're all based on classical music pieces and elements of the composers that compose them.
Right.
This particular Nakusa, this particular one, was inspired by an event in Sergei Rachmaninoff's life. And in Rachmaninoff's life, kind of early in his career, he wrote his first symphony. And when it was debuted, the critics absolutely destroyed it. Like they just destroyed it. And he was completely traumatized. He had then horrific writer's block, and he couldn't compose. He felt like he no longer knew what people wanted, you know, in music anymore. You know, he had to seek this, you know, the help of a psychiatrist, and he had like a nervous breakdown. And he luckily, you know, got the help, and he went on to write some of his greatest music. But that trauma of rejection, I think, haunted him for the rest of his life, you know. And so that event, along with his prelude in D major, Opus 23, number 4, that's what I used to inspire the film. And so the character of Nakusa, which means unwanted in India, like Rachmaninoff was unwanted. His music was unwanted. Nakusa means unwanted in India. When you're born female and not male, you're named Nakusa, and it's a shame on your entire life. You're emotionally traumatized by rejection for having the name Nakusa, because you're known to the world that you were not wanted. So the theme of the whole film is about the trauma of being unwanted, inspired by the trauma in Rachmaninoff's life. And then I created a character out of that set to his music, set in real time to his music. And so, you know, trauma is a very dark experience. And the film is really a visual representation of what it feels like to have a life-altering trauma. And it is set in real time to his music. So those were all the elements that I used. And the music itself is very beautiful, but it also has a very haunting quality. And so the whole film was inspired by that one event, and also the musical elements in the score, right. You know, and how my imagination worked with the music, you know, as I play it. And you know, everything that I decided, from the sound design to the look of the film, was all inspired by the piece of music.
Now, how did in your life, how did your acting and your musicianship sort of meld? How did that come together?
Well, you know, I think, you know, I came to study music seriously very late in life, compared to what is normal, you know, or to be a very serious, you know, can you hear that? That's my phone.
I can.
I'm sorry. I don't know who's calling.
No, it's okay. It's so because it makes me feel like, oh, good, yeah, we're all like human here.
Yeah, this is like, we're Zooming. So, you know, so, you know, it's kind of a long answer, but like I said, I'm a very serious musician. And although I didn't have the normal journey of what a professional musician has, when, you know, they start like at 3 or 4 and then they do all the competitions, you know, I'm still a very serious musician, and I don't treat myself any differently. I still have the same goals as anybody that trained very young, and I still want to play that same high level. But I was an actor young. So I was an actor young, and I just always think like an actor. So I think, you know, through music, I always portray a character when I play.
Right.
And,
You know, you were talking about you were an actor and being young, and
yes.
and I do remember, you know, talking to your mom,
Yeah.
and how she moved from LA to Seattle.
Yes, yes.
How did you feel about living in Seattle during your youth? Did you regret it, or did you like it compared to living in LA?
Wow. You know, it was very different. It seemed very, very different. And you know, now this is where I talk about, I guess, where my family background does kind of come in to my experiences, I think, and also all the things that my father stood for, you know, because I just remember when I was very, very young, but I remember when we first moved there, that it was like being a fish out of water, kind of, and it was like a very big deal, which I was never, like I said, first, I don't think I never had the experience of in LA of somehow being different. I guess it's because there's a lot of film industry people that live in LA. And also I think that had a lot to do with how my parents handled their lives and handled their parenting of their children. And I was just never aware of it, really, which is, I wasn't aware of who my father was until we really went to Seattle, which was because it was such a big deal to other people.
Yeah.
And, you know, they would say things like, you know, when on my first day of school, I was really young. They said, "I can't believe you dress normally. I thought you'd come in an evening gown." I just thought that was so bizarre. I was like, what do you mean? You know, what do you mean an evening gown? I'm just like, you know,
oh my God.
And so it was really like, there was a lot of focus, I think, on us, because it was written about in the paper when we came there. It was like in the Seattle Times and all this stuff. I was not used to that. And also, my father was a very famous, obviously, he was a very famous liberal. And, you know, it was more of a, I think more of a very conservative place at the time, you know, and I just remember it was a big deal.
I find it interesting too, that they wanted to get you or the family and their children away from Hollywood.
Exactly.
And then there's this big headline,
exactly.
moving to Seattle.
Exactly. It was, yeah, exactly. It was, and also my father being Jewish, and you know, that was also, I hate to say it, but I used to get this at school. I'm not kidding. That happened. And so, but I love Seattle. So I'm not saying anything. You know, that's not, I'm just saying, I'm being honest about some of the experiences that I had. And I learned over, you know, I know a lot about, I was researching a screenplay many, many years later for a feature that I was writing about the far right hate movements. And, you know, I know that they're in that, you know, Seattle, Oregon, you know, all that kind of Northwest area is like a big breeding ground for that. I don't know if that was going on you know, at that time there with what I was going through, but I just remember that it had a lot of, I love Seattle in a lot of ways. There was things that I did in Seattle that I would have probably not done in Los Angeles. Like, you know, my love of horses, and I was an equestrian, and, you know, I had those years doing that there, and I don't think I would have done
ride.
Sadly, no. My first, besides the piano, ironically, which is another story, because I didn't train in the piano till an adult, but I still had a love of it. My other love, surprisingly enough, was not the film industry at all. I wanted my own identity. I'm the youngest in my family. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I wanted my own identity, and I really loved horses, and it was in Seattle that I got really involved in that. And I went to all, rode on show circuits, and I wanted to go to the Olympics. And it was during those years in Seattle that I actually got the opportunity to train with the coach of the U.S. equestrian team, but I would have had to move, and I was too young. I was only 14, so my father actually said no, and it was very heartbreaking. I think it's a very dangerous, expensive sport. Very.
And that's why he didn't want you to do it, because
I think so. I mean, when this it was offered to me, I was about 14, and I just think, my father had always supported it. He was like the main support of my horse career endeavors, just all of a sudden said no. And I didn't understand, at the time. It was really tough because that was like my love. And I really wanted to go to the Olympics. But I just think, it's a very, very expensive sport. You really, and also very dangerous. And I would have had to leave home and
right.
And as a foreign, like classical music, I mean, the horse, being an equestrian is foreign to my family. I mean, horses and the piano are these two very, my family doesn't know anything about either. And
well, I could see while you're talking about this, I could see one of your future films really connecting with horses. And
oh gosh. You're right, but it's probably not any in the way you think.
It's more like Equus.
Let me just say, my next short that I'm like going into pre-production right now involves something that has to do with horses, but part of it has something to do with horses, but there's no real horses in it. That's all I'll tempt you, but it has to do, it's very different from Nakusa.
Wow.
It's like a British comedy, and it's very avant-garde as well.
Oh, I love this.
Yes.
I love it. Now I'm like, now I'm looking forward to this. Have you ever thought with all of your shorts to maybe make one, put them all together as one big one?
That's what I'm doing. Putting it together as a feature. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I love this. I love this. Yeah. Okay. We talked about the horses and the acting and life, and in connection to life, this is like a far out avant-garde question. What is the first memory that you can remember?
Okay. Well, the first memory actually was when I was very, very young. I don't even know what age, but I used to love tap shoes. I didn't tap dance. I think that my sister took dance lessons, and I think, I was way too young. I think I was tagged. My earliest memory is that they must have been her tap shoes, or my parents. I had a fascination with shoes when I was little. So must have been when it came. I loved shoes. I loved to get shoes, and I loved Mary Janes. Remember those? And my first memory is we had like a long stone hall in one of our homes, and I love the sound of tap shoes on the hard floor. So that's what I remember, is being on the hard floor going clack, clack, clack with the tap shoes, which is kind of connected to horses with the clopping.
Yeah.
And also kind of the piano, which is kind of percussive. Yeah. So I don't know. I love the sound, of tap shoes.
And this was about what age? Or
I would say like 2 or 3, I would say, really little. Yeah.
I love that. That's one of the questions that I used to take Corey Allen as my acting coach, or life, sort of, it was more life coach, but that was what we got into too, about just the sensory. And
yes.
Now, what was your first role in television or film?
Oh gosh, well, I won't say the name because I don't want anybody to know, but
okay.
I played, when I was about 8 years old, I played Patty Duke's daughter. A TV movie. Yeah. And I would, it's really strange because, when I was little, I was being asked to do a lot of things at the age when I was like, all my siblings were in the industry, my whole family. And, you know, I thought, well, I can't have how am I going to have my own identity? And if I get a part over somebody else, that's not good. And,
Right.
you know, it was just a lot of, at a very young age, I've always been really sensitive, and I'm like the baby of the family. And I was like, no, you know, I was being offered a lot of parts when I was a kid. Now I could kick myself. But I played Patty Duke's daughter when I was around 8. And then I was offered to play young Jackie Kennedy because I rode horses. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I could kick myself now, you know.
But you know what? That's how you felt at that moment. So,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't feel that way now. I'm up for hire as an actor. but yeah.
Still, I mean, you're, you know, you have that look that you could play Jackie Kennedy now.
Yeah, you know, and I had the whole, you know, she rode horses, and
Right.
I rode horses, and I have the coloring, and and but my first thing, I think, in television and film, I think that was my first,
Right.
you know, playing Patty Duke's daughter.
That's that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Gosh, you know, and I'm having another moment of, I was thinking about, hold on, it's going to come to me. I'm having these moments today, but that's okay. We got the phones, we got the gardeners.
Absolutely. This is Zoom.
We've got the Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where I was thinking. We talked about your dad, and of course he made amazing films, historic films. Do you have a favorite of his?
Oh my God.
I know it's like, how can you pick? They're all children.
You know, when I was little, he used to have like a screening room, you know, and I can say the ones that I used to pick to watch.
Yes.
And then I can tell you some that are not probably his better known that I love. I think the ones that I always wanted to watch were It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, of course, and The Runner Stumbles. Because I loved Kathleen Quinlan. You know, I loved Kathleen Quinlan when I was little.
Yeah.
And I love her now too. But I mean, I just remember those are the three.
Right.
And I think, you know, there is a movie that he did that he produced called A Child Is Waiting, which is about disabled children.
Yes. Was that with Judy
Garland? Yes.
That's my friend Jerry Jewell's favorite film.
Is it really? I really love that film for a whole huge variety of different reasons. That's like a whole other show, but I feel, you know, the dilemma that Judy Garland was in that film, whether, you know, she came in to help these disabled children, and she got too emotionally involved, you know, and especially with this one little boy. And then she was told by the head of the school, you can't do that. You have to give them tough love. You can't get attached, you know, which like forced her to kind of reject him a little bit. You have to see the film, but you know, that's like a real issue that, you know, that I think is a real dilemma, that issue that she went through in that. And I think I don't know if I agreed with the head of the school. I think that I think love is very important. I'm not really a believer in tough love, really. I mean, you have to have boundaries, and you have to, you know, but I'm not. So that film really hit me for a variety of experiences in my own life. And so I have an affinity for that. I also loved Pressure Point, because I actually wrote a feature inspired by that. It started with my loving that film, and then getting inspired to, as an offshoot of it, from that film, write something for myself that was kind of inspired by that film. I also really like that one. But you know, Ship of Fools, and I mean, I can't really, you know,
there was
Judgment at Nuremberg. Okay, I probably say as an adult now, Judgment at Nuremberg is one of like the masterpieces. It's such an important film.
You know, I'm listening to all these films again, and you know, I mean, the other night I was watching Mad World with my mom, and she was laughing hysterically. It
It's
lifted
just-
her up so much. And listening to you now list all the films, of course, we did, you know, there were a few others we were looking at, but right now I want to go on Amazon and buy the box sets.
Yeah, I know, really, I know. Oh, the 5,000 Figures of Dr. T, which is about a child. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
That's like become a cult kind of
Right.
favorite of certain people. I know that it's you know, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, no, I can understand. There's so many. I mean, some directors can make one. He made, like, you know, produced and
Yeah.
directed it.
What I dealt with was the matter of image in motion pictures in the small sense, and image of the nation, the United States, in the larger sense, more importantly even than most of us realize. The motion picture maker, whether he likes it or not, is thrust very much into the political arena these days. All of us seek for truth. Creative people certainly seek for truth, and I think that every well-meaning government official who goes to bed at night with the dream of peace, the way out, seeks truth. And I would say that there is no way to come closest to the truth than by an open, free, total distribution of that which we do as creators, and that which mirrors what we are and what we aspire to be, rather than only that side of us which we intrude upon people anyhow. We must be true, in my opinion, to our legacy, which is to examine, criticize, break down, reestablish, and therefore progress.